Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here this afternoon. First request that I have is if you have a cell phone, would you please turn it off so that somebody else doesn't join the meeting unexpectedly. Paul, we're ready to go. It's a little after 1:30. Paul, will you call the roll, certification of quorum? And
okay, we have Jim Carter present, Nathaniel present, Matt Barger present, Jerry Carbone present, Ray Zobot, Karen Joe Martin, and Ken Evans, who have full quorum of the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Approval of the prior meeting minutes, that would be for December. Any questions by the board, or not, may I entertain a motion for approval?
Yes, make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second by Ray. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign, motion carries. Thank you. Again, good afternoon and a happy new year to all of you. We're certainly finding that there are a lot of people coming to Naples, a lot of people coming to Florida. And we welcome them all. We're happy you're here. But we do have a fair amount of rules and regulations as far as protecting ourselves against COVID-19. So we're just asking every new arrival, if you're going to be here for a while, it wouldn't be a bad idea to spend a few days in your own self-quarantine, or to make sure that you are healthy before you enter out and start interacting with our groups who are coming to the community center. Our rules have been in place ever since that we reopened last year, and we haven't changed anything, but we have been very successful with the process in place. And we maintain the social distancing. We ask people to wear a mask inside the facilities, and we do all temperature checks when you enter the community center. The fitness center, for those who are new, you must call and book a time. We take 10 per hour, and that seems to be working quite well. I know there's a number of classes that are being held outside. You can hear the spin bikers when I'm playing tennis in the morning, and some other things. So I think we've adapted pretty well to the situation, and we'll continue to follow this, as we know that the COVID-19 shots are becoming available in Naples. If you're fortunate enough already to have yours, congratulations. Most of us are still trying to, the minute we hear about it, to get online and to be able to be inoculated against the virus. Personally, I don't think that all of this will really get done through until about 90 days. Most of the season will be over before any of this takes place. So without question, this is not going to be a normal season. But the best way to stay in touch with everything is to go to our website. All the community activities are listed there. And if your association wants to hold a meeting like is going on today, they can contact our foundation office. We can get that set up to do just like we're doing here. It can be live and a hybrid. So if you need to do that, please make that call and get set. Today, we're going to be moving forward with the food and beverage project by reviewing the RFP for construction and the food and beverage provider. Our goal is to have significant information and project costs back to the community by our February board meeting, which is February 18. Several workshops have been conducted in the last 10 days, and about 100 residents have signed up for that to get informed about what the project's about and get their questions answered. If you missed those, you still can go online, and I would encourage you to go to our website and check out all the information that is available there, the progress that's being made, and where we stand not only on this project, but any of our other activities. So without further on my part, again, welcome, enjoy yourselves, be safe, be careful. I'll turn it over now for the treasurer's report. Ken, you're up.
Let me pull it up here.
Some of you might have a book that came out a few years ago that has a saying for each day. So we wake up in the morning, we open the book. Today's saying, I read it and I started laughing. It says, first of all, it's Deepak Chopra, or Chopra, whatever you want. And the saying was, every great change is preceded by chaos. So I think with all the stuff that we've got going in this community and pavilion or whatever we're going to call it, we're in the chaos stage, but we're hoping for great change. The other thing, oops, my screen.
Oh, no, I got to get the
Oh,
report
you're
up.
doing it to get me
Yeah,
on.
ad lib for me for a second
All
now.
right, you can get it.
need this one back?
You can get it to where it says page 1.
Yep, give me 1 second.
I sometimes think if the actual results come in close to the budgeted expectations, that maybe we're fiddling with the numbers, but these, we're not fiddling with the numbers. We're just so good at projecting. I'm doing this to keep things moving along while you're trying.
I don't know what's going on with the computer, just technical difficulties here.
I'd like it on Comcast.
This is where I get a sign and run around and hold it up so everybody can see what he's talking about.
There we go. Now,
We all right?
we're good now.
Okay. I already said that we had an increase. You'll notice the capital fund went from 210 to 544. The reserve fund was increased, as well as available operating cash. Just as a point of information, this is the last year that there is a benefit to the signing bonus from Comcast, and it is in the numbers this year. So there's a little over $100,000 that is helping to reduce the assessment for Comcast. It's still one of the best deals in town when you figure it per month. The next one is the $88,000. Okay, the next one's the $88,000 of surplus. Again, we don't really need to spend much time on it. Things were up and down based upon the way we scheduled for COVID. So,
You on page 2?
pardon?
Are you on page 2?
I'm on page 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Fitness center, because of the nature of the way their operation runs, they get a lot of revenue from people who are not employees. They pay us a certain percentage of their fees. Well, because the place was basically closed down, that number was down. And court sports, on the other hand, benefited because they have a very high fixed cost. And a lot of the people that are usually involved in the administration of the courts were not used because it was closed down. So there was kind of a flip-flop. Administration again benefited because it was reduced in staff. So the net result was a positive variance or a surplus of 88. We're going to use 50 for this year, and the other will go into the operating account. Page 3. Here's the hard copy example of why we did well financially in the capital and reserve account. We picked up another $152,000 as a result of the 38 home variance, and continue to build up these accounts. That's just the difference between the budget and actual and variance. If you go to the next page, it's a little busier, but what we were trying to do is give you some idea of the last few years. You'll recall that in 2018, we were still taking 45% of the resale fees and using them to reduce operations. So the first year that we got the resale fees committed to by the board to be in the capital and reserve accounts was 2019. And we ended up with a capital balance of 210, a reserve balance of 300,000. In 2020, we ended up with a capital balance of 544, a reserve balance of 462. And we were obviously above budget in those accounts, again, because we had 38 extra resales. The last page maybe is the most important because it's trying to give the owners an understanding of the financial position that we're going to be in as support for this proposed food and beverage project. If you look at the last couple of columns, what we're saying is if we sell the 100 budgeted resales, we're going to have a little less than $800,000 in the capital account by the end of the year. If we do the 138 that we did this year, we will have 974 approximately. And the only expenses that are of significance in this year is the potential of the proposed, as I call it, the pavilion or the food and beverage. So from a financial perspective, we expect to be in solid shape, and I certainly would hope some money left in the capital account, as well as if the community votes for this project, enough money to to do it. The last number everybody saw was 650,000. And we got that from working with one of the contractors, and they had gotten to about 80% of the item level cost, like part of the construction, the concrete, et cetera. So that number came in to give us a comfort level that when we move forward with these RFPs and when we did the other, that there would be sufficient monies in the account. So
Any questions by the board?
I would like to make another comment in passing. I have told many of you that my personal situation is such that I did not plan on running for re-election. I've been the treasurer for almost 3.5 years, and for those of you that are voters, there's an expression that the happiest day that we have in our life is when we buy our sloop, and the more happy day is the day we sell it. I was very pleased to get involved when Dave and the board said we had financial problems. I do not believe we have them anymore. I believe the financial people have made a big difference. We have a committee that has a couple of CPAs on it, strong financial background. Paul and I were instrumental in bringing on a guy as the accountant that's very experienced. So I leave you, and I mean that now, because I have asked to step down. I will stay on the board for 2 more meetings, but really my work is done. I have other things that are important to me, and you have a responsibility to vote for 3 new board members. I would only ask that you take that seriously. I would like to see one of them have a strong financial background. I don't know who's running, but ask them, find out. And in the meantime, I thank the board, and I thank the board from the one that no longer is here for the opportunity to have served the community. And I intend to play pickleball and travel, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Then I will say on behalf of the board, we are entirely indebted to your service. You did a terrific job for us. We value what you did, as I know the community has, and we wish you well. And I understand you may be going to New Zealand, and the way things are going here, you may want to stay. I don't know. But,
That's the plan. Thank you.
again, thank you for your service. Now, are there any questions by the audience on the treasurer's report, or do we have any questions online about his report?
Nothing online.
Nothing online, no questions of the board. Any questions from the audience? All right, we'll move on to the foundation manager.
Let's flip flop because Johan has lessons later on, so we can just flip our
okay,
positions.
we're going to flip flop. Johan, our tennis director, he is up and ready to go.
And/or court sports, right?
Oh,
Court sports.
That's okay.
Court sports.
Yeah.
Quickly forgot. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy New Year. It is the new year, and we are super, super busy on the tennis courts. January is significantly busier than November and December have been. I suspect that's because most people who were coming down and making one trip have made their trip now, and they're here. So we are absolutely swamped on the tennis courts, which is fantastic. The energy is great. I want to touch on 2 things today. I want to cover a little bit of how we're dealing with COVID out there and a little bit about what our courts look like during a typical day. So COVID compliance has significantly improved over the last month, both with mask wearing and social distancing. More and more people are wearing masks even while they are waiting for a court, which used to not happen. And then taking them off on the court. We're still working on some people, but it's improved significantly. Part of that I attribute to more and better communication, and we put some signage out, which is just a nice, gentle reminder for people to be courteous to others, and everybody's tolerance is different, and acknowledging that. As you know, because of COVID, we're currently not checking in with the key fobs like we normally would. This decreases traffic through the pro shop significantly. If you think about 32 people playing every hour and a half, all those people coming through the pro shop is not an ideal scenario, especially because it all happens at once. Having said that, we're doing a fantastic job with court reserve as far as tracking the people who are playing and putting them into the court reserve system. Our staff is checking all the courts on every turnover and inputting all members into the court reservation system that did not already do so themselves. We are encouraging group leaders to put all players' names in ahead of time. Some have already started doing it, some have not. And there's several advantages to doing that. The system emails players. It reminds the player the day before they have a match. So it reduces the no-shows, and it's easier from a court management standpoint. Players already know what courts they're going to be on ahead of time. We still have a little bit of a struggle controlling the pickleball courts, because people tend to just come out and grab a court if it's open in the afternoons and start playing, and we can't see them from the pro shop. So that's a little bit of a struggle. I'm trying to figure out how to make that better. I'm open to suggestions. There are lots of people that look like they're new people on the pickleball courts, or maybe guests, but the reality is most of them are residents. We just don't know them yet. And so we've had a ton of new people coming in. We're getting them acclimated with the core reservation system. They're starting to use it. So far this year through Court Reserve, I've got 450 unique players that have played this year, plus 14 league teams, versus what we counted on Court Reserve last year, 225. Now, last year we weren't counting individual players, we were just counting reservations. So the numbers are a little bit skewed, but that number of 450 unique players is significantly higher than we were counting on our Jonas key fob system.
Are those local residents here, or are they from other areas?
Which ones are you talking about? The 450 unique?
Yeah.
The bulk of them are all residents.
Okay.
There's a handful of guests included in that count, but the bulk of them are residents. The activity on the pickleball courts has basically erupted, for lack of a better word. We've started 2 beginner round robins on Mondays and Wednesdays. We are now running 5 intermediate and advanced round robins, including 1 nighttime event. To give you a little idea, I started the nighttime event this week. I talked to a few people about it. I published it on Monday, and 10 minutes later it was full. So I'll be adding either a second one on the same night or adding some more nighttime ones. And the beauty of the nighttime ones, it's just bringing out the people who work during the day. And believe it or not, there are people that live in Pelican Marsh that work during the day. As a note on the nighttime play, we've retrofitted all the lights on all the lights to be on timers as opposed to keys. It's really simplified and streamlined the process for our residents, and also made the courts available at times when the foundation building is not open. And we're getting a significant amount of night play, both on the tennis courts and the pickleball courts. Some of that includes league play, which I'm super happy about. I was going to show you what a day in the life of Pelican Marsh Court Sports looks like. I have a slide. The slide may be more helpful than the actual online, although I can go to the online version as well. I think I have a slide.
You do. I have to go back and get it.
Well, hopefully you'll do better than I did.
I hope so.
On the slide.
It was up here. It was up here earlier.
Give me one.
The other little tidbit I want to talk about. We've had some technical issues on one of the pickleball courts. The surface is starting to crack a little bit, and the subsurface, which is a little bit of a cushion surface, is absorbing some water because of it. US Tennis is coming out next Friday, and they'll be working Friday through Sunday to do some warranty work on that court. So they're responding nicely, and hopefully we'll get that taken care of.
All right.
Here's what a day in the life of
Let me share this now to everybody else.
court sports looks like, and that's a day from 7 a.m. I believe until maybe 10 p.m.
Now I want to share that for everybody at home to see.
It disappeared. I think it's coming back.
I got to share it for people on Zoom land.
Right.
There it is. Now we go. Now everybody can see it.
Okay, so the earliest time at the very top is 7 a.m. You'll see some red squares next to them. Basically, those courts are closed for reservations, although the pickleball courts open up earlier for reservations. There's a round robin on the right-hand side for pickleball. That's the dark red area. After that, all those orange markers on the right 4 columns are all pickleball reservations.
There.
All the way up until, what time is that at the end of the day? All the way until 6:30 or 7 p.m.
7, yeah.
On the left-hand side, courts 2 through 8, that's the tennis day. All the dark blue is doubles play. The light green that you see in the middle is singles play. The magenta color is league play. And on the first 2 courts, you'll see some, and then on court 3, which is that second column, is basically Victor and I teaching throughout the day. So that was Monday of this week. And it's not an unusual day for us. Any questions?
Questions by members of the board?
It's a good thing you knew your colors.
And magenta was the hard one.
The point you made about pickleball, you're having trouble where people just come and play, they're not following the system. If it's in the evening, it used to be, you couldn't turn the lights on unless you came and got a key and turned it on and left a credit card.
Correct. The tricky part about that is if one person has booked a court and they turn the lights on, all 4 courts light up. So that's not, it would be a nice way to control it, right? But it's unfortunately not. Many times we're honestly there in the afternoons. We just don't see them from the pro shop. And I may be on the court teaching or Victor's on the court teaching. If we see that, we will go over and say something because we want to encourage people to book a court. The other night for the nighttime league, I had to kick 2 people off the courts because they hadn't booked the courts. And so it was a great opportunity for me to tell them that they need to get into the court reservation system and book courts and move forward from there. The other benefit from that is once they register with us, they also get emails and they get communication from us.
The thing we've had, or previously had problems with the lighting is that we could come by here at 10 o'clock at night or midnight, we were burning candles after, that was a bad situation.
So that still cannot happen. And the reason it can't happen is we also have a backup timer that's set by time.
Okay.
The timers on the courts now are on a 2-hour timer.
Okay.
So they will go for 2 hours. You can always reset them if you're going to play for more than 2 hours, but there's a master timer behind that shuts off at 10 o'clock.
But on tennis, they still have to follow the same procedure to light up these courts out here.
They're also on a timer.
Okay.
All of them are.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to the courts. See you all.
Okay, Paul, we have the foundation manager report.
Okay. I'm sure everyone's glad that 2020 is now behind us. It's a challenging year, and we're looking forward to hopefully a brighter new year in 2021. Just to kind of reiterate what Jim said earlier, we just got to stay diligent and keep following the safety guidelines and rules we have in place so we can help prevent this spread of COVID-19 and keep our facilities open. And like I said, hopefully the vaccine will be readily available sometime in the near few months, where possibly this summer, late summer, we can possibly start to further reopen and expand our amenities and services at that time. This past Wednesday, the CDD had its regular monthly board meeting. Reported at that meeting was a couple things. As you'll see, obviously the construction landscaping work going on along Pelican Marsh Boulevard, that was phase 2, which is planned to be completed by the middle of next week. And then the next step will be starting sometime in February. They had a company coming in to do the paving and repairing of all the roads where the potholes are, and hopefully get that done very soon. So obviously when this work is going on, please make sure you're following the speed limit coming down Pelican Marsh Boulevard, and please watch out for the construction workers and also the residents out, walking and running as they're also trying to maneuver around the construction work. As we said many times in the past, our best way to keep members informed and updated is to have their email address. We send out regular email blasts to cover all upcoming events and activities, as well as foundation meetings and agendas and other business and reports that's going on in the foundation. The website is also a good place to get information, as we also have forums, past minutes of meetings, videos of the meetings that we have, and other information. So I thoroughly encourage every homeowner, if you're not getting an email blast or you're not on the website to be registered, contact our office so we can get you signed up so you can start being updated and informed what's happening in Pelican Marsh. Lastly, as a reminder, any member who is interested in running for one of the 3 open board positions this upcoming election in March, they must submit their candidate intent form to the foundation by February 11th. And so if you have interest, the form is available here at the administrative office, or you can also obtain it off the Pelican Marsh website. Lastly, the staff again appreciates everyone's continued patience and support as we've going through this current COVID issues, and we hopefully look forward to a positive 2021 as we go forward. And that's my report.
Great. Thank you, Paul. Any questions by the board?
I'd like to make one comment about Paul. You saw all this technical Zoom work Paul was doing. A year ago, Paul had never heard of Zoom either. And he's had become an expert instantly and done a really great job. And even doing stuff that I can't imagine how he does it. So I appreciate being able to skate through this Zoom problem. Thank you, Paul, for becoming an expert so quick.
I wouldn't say I'm an expert, I'm just done enough to be dangerous. So.
Fair enough. Any questions online? Any questions from the audience?
I do have a question. How many applications, Paul, have you received for the vacated board position?
Sir, right now, as I checked yesterday, we have 3 applications in.
Okay. All right, let's move to old business. Number 1, 9.1 is to ratify approval of funds to complete the final architectural and engineering drawings for the covered patio and bar facility of the proposed food service. We had the funds there. We got caught between meetings where we had to spend some money that it was already in the budget to get this ready for the RFP. So there was no problem among the board of doing this, but to make it official, because it is an expenditure of funds, I need a motion to have that approved in retrospect.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. Thank you. 9.2, update on proposed food and beverage amenity and review the proposed request for proposals, the RFPs, going out to the potential food service operator and building contractors. I understand all board members have this in their portfolio, but prior to that, I know Bob Gianti is here and Mark is here. Would you like to make some comments? Bring us up
Yeah, I
to
can give you
date
a
where
quick
guys
update.
are?
Yes, thank you very much. In August, we put together the proposal and then to the board. And since then, we said that we wanted to meet with as many owners as possible. So since we did that, we put a survey out to everybody just to kind of get a feel for their preferences. And then we had 8 workshops. In addition to the 8 workshops, we had 3 other Zooms when certain groups couldn't make those. And then on Monday, we have another one with the president. So we really wanted to get out there and really go over everything that we possibly could, ask questions, get feedback. It's for you. It's not for me or Mark. It's for everybody here. And we got a lot of really good input. And generally, everybody that attended was very favorable. So we were pleased with that. Since then what we ended up doing is we kept looking and documenting all this information and asking people, even as of today, please, if there are any questions, send them to Paul. We want to make sure that we get everybody's feedback. And then we start putting all this information on the website so that people can also go there if they didn't attend any of the workshops. We've been here a number of times, whether it be for the contractors, with the food operators that we are talking to, engineers, you name it, sometimes 3 days or 3 times in a day. We're to the point right now that we put together RFP and for the food and for the construction. And we're kind of ready to move forward because we've gotten to that point where we need to kind of move forward. The most important thing, I do want to mention this, the most important thing, we have to be open come January 1. That is our season. That is what everything is crunched on. So however we get to that point, we just have to get there because and if we can get open a month earlier than that, great. So we're working with the architect. He understands. He also has been talking with contractors to make sure that everything is lined up. So as you heard earlier, they went through different stages. It started out with renderings. From there, they contacted a number of vetted contractors. From there, we had to get into more detail because you just got generic numbers based on a drawing. So they went to the next detail, and now we're to the third detail. And that really gets to the specifics of whether it be a wire or the size of the gas line that goes into the building. So we've been really involved in this. I mean, Paul and I, even last week, it was like the POS system. What happens if somebody has, 5 different people, separate checks? How does it run? So we can make sure it's expedient. So we put a lot of time into it, and I just want to thank everybody. And do you want to say anything more?
No, I think you
Covered everything. And we have a great team, and I want to thank Mark and Margie too.
I think Bob covered most of it. The one thing I can't emphasize enough, the speed with which we need to go forward on this. If we don't get open by January, we might as well wait until 2022.
True.
And by then we just lose more potential for this wonderful amenity. The other thing that concerns me, if we drag our feet on this, we've already lost one contractor, Garrett, who Jim recommended, has dropped out because of their workload, and other contractors' workloads will also be increasing. This is the time they start signing contracts. So their bids are due February 15th, and we need to be able to act pretty quickly after that.
I have a question. Is there any chance that their bids will all come in early?
No.
No?
I was in the construction business for 40 years, and
Give
let
them
me
a
tell you,
deadline, and that's the day you'll probably get it?
I was working overnight the night
Yep.
before the bid was due, and that's what will happen.
That's how I did my homework in school.
Are the drawings complete?
Yes, he is actually having walkthroughs with them.
I'm sorry.
Yes, they're complete, and he's having walkthroughs with the different contractors that are going to be bidding on it. So he put together an entire spec sheet of what he's expecting from them. And again, then it goes through 2 different processes. One, they're going to line item it. It'll say electric, or it'll say plumbing, or it'll say whatever, and they're going to have a total. And then from there, then we have to go to the next step of saying, okay, now let's get into the detail of that. So the detail is there, and it will be there. But he does have the drawings, and he is presenting them to or meeting with each contractor.
Are these drawings in a preparation base to submit to the county for approval?
No, I don't think it's right to that step. They have to, that's where they go to the contractors, and then he has to still tweak it or change it. I don't think it's ready right now to get stamped, if that's what your question is.
My understanding is he has them to the point with any input from a contractor, it's in his CAD system. They'll be able to change it because the contractor has to be involved in getting the permit.
Right.
So they'll be ready for that,
GC, whoever we award it to.
whoever we award it to.
Okay.
Which I assume everyone is on the board is on board with not naming any contractors or any suppliers, because I think that just brings the potential for a lot of negative anecdotal stories to come into this thing.
Okay. What's the opportunity for the board to get a set of these drawings
I'm sure you can have them.
that we'd like to have?
We'll make them available. But the idea was that, so each contractor has the same set of design plans, so they're quoting on the same items. So we have apples to apple comparisons when the RFPs come in.
Okay.
Any questions?
The board members know, but the community might not know how incredibly hard that Mark and Bob have worked for so long on this, that once this thing gets built, they should never have to buy their own drink. These guys are really working viciously as though it was their career and they were getting a paycheck on Friday, every Friday for it, and they're not. I greatly appreciate it. It's really slugging forward constantly for a long, long time.
I helped out too.
He's got the drinks also, okay, man, my man, a drink.
He's
So
our,
don't give it to him, or we'll really.
Are there any questions?
he's our food and
Are there
beverage.
any questions or?
Yeah, is there any questions anybody has about the project? Because the next piece we're gonna move to is the RFP for construction, board discussion, take questions on that. But the overall project, does anybody have any questions? Anybody online have any questions? Everybody's asleep, okay.
He's checking online just to make sure.
No, nothing.
All right.
1 second.
I would suggest to the board that there's two pieces to this. One is the contractor RFP, and listening to everything that I have heard all along, this is critical to get this approved to be sent out to them so that we can get it back by the date that I see in here, by Monday, February the 15th. I think I'm right with all of this? Okay. So first of all, I would ask the board if, I don't know how long you've had it, I've been over it, I am not a construction guy. I rely on a couple of the people who have been in that business, but from perspective of having built homes, it seems like it's pretty thorough, but I would want comment from the board or questions from the board.
It looked pretty detailed, I have to say.
Just a point, I think the board probably saw that I raised the point with Paul regarding where he was in the completion of the document, and I thought his response was very clear and easy for us to understand, and so in essence, there's a couple different phases to it. The first one is he has the benefit of having this food and beverage where he worked before, put the contracts together. And so I support it as it's proposed and recommend that we go forward with the food and beverage portion.
I would second that. I would, the contractor version, first part with for the builder, I would motion that we
Well,
send that.
the motion was made for food and beverage.
Oh, I thought you,
Oh, well, we're going backwards here.
oh yeah, we're still talking about the first one, I'm sorry.
We're still talking about the first one, and that is the RFP to the contractors with the construction. We're not on the food side of it yet. So if you're comfortable, I would need a motion to go forward with the RFP for the contractors.
I would like to motion that we move forward with sending RFP for the contractors out to the contractors at this time.
Seconded.
First, I got a second. Questions, comments?
I'd still like to see a set of drawings of what we're sending out for it.
I'll make sure the full CAD drawings are available to you as of today.
I'm sorry, Paul.
I'll make sure that James, our architect, provides the CAD drawings, PDF version,
Yeah, they can do it on the PDF.
and we'll send it to you.
At the end of the day, he said, at the end of the day.
Yeah, because this building's gonna happen before Monday, so I mean, there's time to look at that or fine tune it. The other thing I do like about this is that you are going to have the subcontractors, they have an opportunity on a schedule to come through and look at whatever their particular discipline is, so they have a clear understanding how they're going to propose to the general contractor what their fees will be. Any questions from the audience? I have a motion to approve. First, I have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign, motion carried. All right, now we can go to food and beverage service operation. Paul provided for us a description that they had used, I believe, at Village Walk. I also understand, well, it's a question I have, that our legal counsel also has written contracts like this for other communities? Do we know that? Okay,
I
yeah,
think the comment was that when they sent it out to Village Walk or Village whatever, that an attorney reviewed it at that time for them. And that's what this boilerplate comes from. Our attorney has not looked at it.
Correct.
not yet, correct. Any questions by the board on that?
I have a question about the liquor license.
Sure.
I know we talked about some.
Yeah,
Out, and now it's
I can-
down, and in there it says that the food and beverage person who's chosen would get the liquor license.
Yeah, I'll clarify
How's
that.
work?
Sure. Originally, back in August, liquor license, if you were to get a liquor license, it would cost as much as $250,000. Right? As we did research, they have liquor license for communities just like ours, Gray Oaks, and others that are not open to the public. They are for the community. And those are $1,800, okay? So we're gonna get that license, of course. It has certain criteria. You have to have X amount of seating and we meet all that criteria. The liquor license would be for Pelican Marsh, but it's held by the food purveyor. And the reason is because they're buying it, they're serving it, and they're responsible for a liquor license insurance and everything else around it. So even if we were switching a food purveyor at any time, it just turns quickly. It's not something that we would have to lose out on and say, we can't turn this over in no time, because it really stays pretty much
You
here.
can look
It's
at
just
it,
their
it
name on
goes
it.
to the address.
Right,
Someone, the operator holds the license, but it can't be moved from the address.
right. It's only for here.
And it will cost them $1,800.
Correct.
Site-specific, there's the word.
Yes, 1,800
Annually. Yeah.
annually.
That's my question. So it's an annual $1,800 fee.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Bob,
you.
is that liquor license affected any way with our percentage of food sales? Like if we end up selling more liquor than food,
No.
does that disqualify?
You have to sell more food than liquor.
You
It
do?
just, yeah, by $1.
So if it turned out that our liquor sales were 70% of our sales, what would we do?
You better sell, well, the thing is,
Start drinking a
with
lot of water.
but one second, just so you understand, this license is exactly the same way for every liquor license. There isn't one liquor license out there that you can sell liquor that exceeds food. There isn't one.
So what do vendors do in that case whenever liquor sales are greater than food? Just raise the price?
Well, then you're turning yourself into a bar opposed to, and then you'd have to get a different license if you wanted just to run a bar. But I mean,
And
if
the
it's,
vendor would have to do that, right?
yeah,
They check it every 2 years.
I mean, we're not gonna have a problem with that.
Now, my understanding also that this particular contract is generic. This does not mean this is the one we end up with. This just says we want all of this to take place and there may be other adjustments in it because of our needs. So,
That is correct. And just to get the point on that, we listed some silverware. We added stuff in here. So we added like the style of silverware, and the purpose of that is because we want a certain grade. We want to make sure everybody's bidding on the exact same thing. Well, it could be a different pattern, but the point being is the quality of it. And we did that all the way through.
But just keep in mind, this is only a request for proposal.
Exactly.
When this comes in and the board decides on someone, then Adam Check or whatever.
we
attorney
could
gets
fine
involved.
tune it anyway.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's,
Yeah, there are several things that are vague, and there's a couple of opportunities missing on there that I worry that the RFP, before it be sent out, we need to adjust it at the executive committee meeting next week. So I would move that we put off sending the food service RFPs out for a week only, and give the executive committees time to go over it with these gentlemen on this committee, and to make sure any fine tuning, we didn't have a chance to preview this because it didn't exist before this week. And so we want to go over that and make sure we're all on the same page, literally.
Can I ask a question related to this point? does that have the potential of any impact on their ability to get it back to us at the time that we asked for it?
Well, I
Proposing
mean,
1
it
week
could,
delay.
yeah, it just pushes it another week. It just, now we're, instead of the 12th, we're going to another week after that, so.
We're not gonna do anything before a building gets built.
We
But
want
then-
time to receive before the February 18th board meeting so the board can then have a
Correct.
full proposal back.
Obviously, a food service provider has a much easier contract to build than a contractor. He has to put a lot of effort into his bid. The food service provider will have a very small amount of work put into his bid comparatively speaking.
Yes and no. Not when we're done. Meaning, I mean, they're gonna show us performance, they're gonna show us all kinds of stuff, because it's,
That takes time.
exactly, it's not just, I want the job.
This is a generic contract.
Exactly.
Within the next week, individual board members had additional comments or things they wanted to put into this. That's one way to go before it goes out, because there's no final approval on this. This is not a contract.
No, no, it's just
So-
requesting for proposals.
So if you have additional things you want to put on for consideration in the next week,
Yeah, but, it says here, FOPM obligations. Okay? Who determined those? Sure, the board didn't do it.
That's why I'm offering, I'd like to offer the board a week to work on this, because
I agree.
I even think that sending it out in this present form will cause us to get worse bids, because we're actually inviting some difficulty here. And I don't want to speak about this publicly, but there is some problems here that we want to fix and sharpen it up, so that we actually end up getting their best bid rather than our worst case scenario that we will accept. So I think that it would be incumbent on the board to make sure that we understand what we're sending out and what we're requesting from the vendors.
Sure.
If I may ask, will that executive committee meeting then have the authority to send it out at that point?
the problem is, Mark, we don't. It is, the board itself has to meet and approve. Now, there's nothing that says that you can't take a week or whatever it takes, review this, get all the necessary input in it, and call a special meeting of the board specifically for this purpose. Could even be done on Zoom and discuss it and approve it. But the executive committee group can only make recommendations to the board. They do not have authority to make decisions.
They just want to study it and give everybody on the board a chance to look at it and understand it and refine it. Because our job on the board, we were elected to watch out for the community's money. And we who were elected have not had a chance to work on it at all. And so it would be, in my mind, completely impossible for us to send it out without becoming familiar with it first. And so I think we should put the pedal to the metal and get done with it in a week. We should be able to fully go through this within a week.
Even
My
inside,
I
maybe even inside of that.
Yeah, maybe even inside a week, but I think we could even, because a board meeting can be a 3-day notice or something, so we can even know it ahead of time that a week from now we'll have a board meeting.
24 hours. So they
Okay.
have to
What
go
about if we put
24 hours.
an executive committee meeting, but we should have somebody from the committee?
Please, we would like
Jerry, I agree.
we would like this committee to be at the executive committee meeting when we go over it, so that we can have good input and crossover.
Sure.
When will that be?
Well, we have to work out the mechanics of this, but in the next 7 days,
Next 7 days,
we need to have a full board meeting, which can be done by Zoom, which we take to any and all revisions, and we have you all participate in that meeting so that when we get done, the board can make a decision to send this forward as a RFP.
Sounds good.
All right?
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I will get with Paul, and, because I don't think anybody knows, if you know what your schedules are now, you can try and set it. But I would prefer that Paul just, what we're gonna do, check your calendars. Paul will get a memo out to us and get this established. By Monday, we'll know what we're gonna do.
Do Tuesday or Wednesday, let's get done.
So,
Thank you.
thank you.
is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys did a hell of a job.
Yes, sir.
If I could get everyone's part of this executive committee meeting, their input or comments. So give me some time to research and maybe bring some answers to that meeting. Otherwise, if I get the questions at the meeting I may have to go back and get answers from whoever. That way I can come prepared to the meeting with the answers.
How soon would this board members be ready to have a conversation?
No later than Wednesday.
Later than Wednesday,
No later
okay.
than Wednesday.
Monday's Tuesday, probably Tuesday's the best day to try to do it, and I cannot, depending on the time you want to do it, I can't give you an answer. I know I'm already in another meeting at 3 on Zoom, but I don't know what else.
I've got 10 o'clock vaccine appointment.
Yes.
Congratulations.
On Tuesday,
You
so
can
we
sell that.
will not have this meeting now.
No,
You could sell that vaccine.
I've got one on Sunday if anybody wants it.
Let me see.
Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday afternoon?
Tuesday afternoon is good for me. Wednesday I got PT.
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I'm open Tuesday at 2.
I got a problem with Tuesday. I got a watercress board meeting in the afternoon.
We have a true.
What time?
It's 3 o'clock.
I can meet anytime after 1. You could meet at 1:30.
Why don't we say 1:30 and we should be done? It shouldn't take that.
2 o'clock.
Exactly, Jim.
All right, let's make it 1:30 Tuesday.
Can we do an email later on that? I believe Mark and I have a homeowners meeting at that time. We need Mark there.
Mark, what time's your meeting on Tuesday?
Tuesday, I have a meeting, we have the True Lakes meeting at 4 o'clock here.
It's at 4.
We're talking
1:30. We're talking
I
1:30.
have something else at 2 o'clock, but I'll figure that out.
Okay, 1:30 Tuesday.
And it's Zoom, we're gonna do Zoom or we're gonna do Zoom or here?
Well, I don't, whatever's convenient, I don't care.
Meeting or
Make it
an
fast.
exec meeting? What are we talking about?
Well, we have to have a special board meeting, a single purpose board meeting.
Right.
We can do it here.
So the community has
To
to
do it here,
notified.
I don't care how we do it.
So you're having the special purpose board meeting at the same time as the executive?
We'll have
No,
you.
no, there's no executive meeting. We'll just call the board. They will be here at 1:30. We will take all the suggestions, ideas and questions and try to
I
get
would
this thing.
suggest then that you get us all your thoughts in advance of that.
Prior, yeah.
Because otherwise it'll just be this, well, I have to check on that, I'll have to check on that, so if you could.
We're gonna have to meet among ourselves and decide if we're both on the same page or somebody's got a
That's right.
different voice.
So that's why 1:30 Tuesday, I full board, everybody can make their inputs and hopefully we could get it squared away.
It seems obvious to me that we're trying really hard to pretend this has to go out in 48 hours or 72 hours when it's not that, a week would not hurt us.
We got 11 months and we're
Yeah.
pushing the envelope over here.
Yeah, this is,
Okay, nobody's gonna
It's
die.
not this
Secret
Friday.
Service doesn't have to be alerted, you know.
this is just for a food service vendor for a building that's not been built yet.
So you want to wait at least a week before you get together?
I would prefer that if we did what we were talking about at the beginning, is have an exec meeting with some of the committee members,
Yes.
okay?
And then we gotta
Comes
take
out of
it.
that meeting, then present it to the board, that you can do on be a one issue item, okay? And do that, because you're gonna have to let the membership know what you're doing anyway.
Yeah.
And do
Well,
that on a Zoom meeting.
why don't we do this? 1:30 exec meeting, we'll meet here. We'll have Mark, we'll have Bob, and there'll be 3 of us that'll be in the room, yet to be determined. And then after that, we will take it to the full board.
That works.
Thank you.
All right? Okay. Update on the key fob for the self-service to the fitness center. Paul, that is item 9.3.
All right, so last month that I mentioned, we now have all the hardware installed so we can start, the service. The only thing we're waiting on to do, we had a little issue. We have a health emergency monitoring system where members that are working out alone can wear little fobs on the wrist to push for help in case they're in trouble. The system we had hoped to put in place is not working with our Comcast phone system. So we had to scratch that system, and I got another system lined up with ADT that actually goes off the cellular, system. So we don't need to have them plugged in. So we'll be getting that system hopefully installed the first of next week at the very latest, and we'll be ready to go. In the interim, we'll send out an email blast to all the homeowners, letting them know the date it's going to be available, and that in order for a member to access the gym in the early or late evening hours, they first must come to the community center and sign a waiver, acknowledging that when they're here, there'll be no staff members and they're working out at their own risk. And additionally, at that point, then we'll program their key fob so it would work on that key lock for the extended hours. So that's the next steps.
How much is all this gonna cost?
But
Key fobs, that's not the same what we had in the pocket right now.
yeah, the same key fobs.
Use that?
Hmm.
Okay, will that track then who goes in at what
Yes,
time?
it's the same system we go into the gym now. It's just now been
Okay.
added to the outdoor.
Because we have to watch our own liability, that's all.
Okay, any questions by the board, any questions from the members? Seeing, hearing nothing, with anything online?
You're gonna hold that, I guess, still gonna be a maximum between 9 and 10? Is that, are we doing that under the same basis of regular hours?
The fitness center will be open to 10 and closed then until what, 5?
Not, so it's gonna open at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Up until we open the community center. And then when we close the community center, it'll still extend hours to 10 p.m. We will have notices that, there's no staff here stating that current rules state that only 10 members at a time. So honor system, if you come and there's already 9 or 10 people already in the gym, you can't go in. But I don't think we're gonna have that many people in the early morning or evening hours working out, so it shouldn't be a problem.
All right. Item 10, new business, approval of design review committee written report.
Yes, we had 2 applications come in, both for redoing their driveways with new pavers. The committee's looked at the pavers, they fall within our guidelines for design, and we're just recommending the board to go ahead and approve those as submitted.
I move there, you approve this and this.
Second.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign, motion carries. Board member comments.
I have a comment, Mr. President. We find ourselves without a treasurer, and I wanted to nominate that the most experienced treasurer I know, the syrupy sweet Jerry Carbone, be our new treasurer to finish out the next 2 months of this term. He's been the treasurer here for quite a while and highly experienced, and now he's even old. He had a birthday last week. 83.
So we can call him an old treasurer.
Set off the fire alarm in his house with that cake. So I would move that we
can put them on a dollar bill.
It looked like he already was.
All right, I have a motion to appoint Jerry Carbone as treasurer. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Matt. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign, motion carries. Congratulations, old treasurer. You're not worked for a couple of months. Any other board comments? None. Resident comments? My Lord, they are quiet today. Okay, must be in the water. Anything online? Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. It's there. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. Thank you very much.